Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good to me. Yeah. So what did we wait till next time last time? We don't. Maybe we needed to do. It was legacy. Okay. You know that we haven't worked on this function at all, right? Like, don't judge it. It's not the result of any refactoring we've done. I don't know what you're looking at. I don't see masks to count. Are you talking about masks to ones count? Okay. Copied. Yeah. Okay. I like the direction. When I look in prepare lookup structures, I do see it's printing out a row of equalses, which is not about preparing lookup structures. So either we should try to extract this into the thing that we really want, or we should try to push this out of the current method. Okay. Do you have a mechanics that you like for that? Do what? Okay. So just from a recipe perspective, it's so here's where I was going is these are the first statements in the current method and they take no parameters. So the mechanics we're going to use here is cut the first statements from the method and then at every call site paste those same lines. I'm okay with any of these ways, but I want to talk about what the options were. We only have one. Actually, you know what? I want to do a little bit differently. Uh, um, where did that go? Here. I'm gonna make sure we have no changes. Should be green in a moment. Come on, and crunch, catch up. Cool. So I want to extract this as a method. This is like a print line of both. I don't know why we need that, but that looks like what it does. So what I can now see is that it takes no parameters. And I'm only moving one line. I feel more confident in my ability to edit code when there's only one line. Yeah, because now we're there. I think all of these options are acceptable, and this one felt right here, but that's okay. So this function is the one we want to look at, and it is weird in that it's returning three things, but in three different ways. We really wish there was a single class. Change signatures like reorder. I think if we want to make a new class, I think that's transform parameters, but I'm not sure. Structures is plural, right? Can we make this? But it failed. Right there. But there's red. There, now it's caught up. Okay. I think they were just slow to catch up. Masks to all ones. Right here. Right here. Okay. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Come on, catch up, computer. Well, it's a constructor. I mean, it wants to be a constructor. That it gets passed in at all. Hold on a second. I think we already have the object that we want being passed in here. So puzzle is of type Sudoku board, and solve board is of type Sudoku board. So you want board as numbers to get replaced with puzzle. Oh, you're right, I did it backwards. There's a plural problem there. At some point, I want to run a sharper code cleanup over this and get our settings in. We said that at the beginning, but we haven't done it yet. They're around here somewhere. So we've got settings right there. Okay. Yeah, I think they're okay. What I was noticing is that right here, there's these lines that have these weird wraps. They're still kind of weird, but I don't know. I guess they're at least they're indented. Yeah. Right here. Is this any good? Let's see where it ended up. Let's see what we actually did here. That seems fine. Somewhere, type IEnumerables to find an assembly that is not referenced. This has to do with which approvals we brought in. Let's add a reference. Always check your references. Where do we see that? So approval test is here, 545. That seems fine. Approval tests is not, but I would have expected approval utilities to show up here. 547, but that's not the missing. From here. What's the problem? They hear me? Oh, that's okay. Check, 1, 2. What you want?
Wait, I might have fixed it. Can you hear me now? Well, hoping that you can. So, where are we? Did we get that to compile? I think the issue here is thanks. I think the issue here is that the version what version of .NET is the Sudoku kata set to? 4.5?
.NET Framework 4.5.2.
Which should be fine. You can push it to 4.8. Shouldn't be a problem. We can see the test hit. Say yes.
It work.
Built, and failed. Okay, so solve board is not the same as final state.
Don't solve that yet. We have changes here. So are we keeping this target framework change?
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to do.
And we want approvals. How are we going to commit this?
Okay, hold on. So go back to where we were. Because I don't like committing on a failing test. So comment out the throw exception part. No, not even the if, just the throw exception. That's how we're committing it. Refactoring. So yeah, definitely a bang bang. Update .NET version and add approval to utilities.
Yeah, that was not very disciplined refactoring.
No. That was our least disciplined. We are still affected by tests, but okay, so now
yeah, I mean that's
the
kind of thing in the real world.
So can you
the kind of thing that in the real world, like you might not be able to change your target version. That might have consequences that are not visible beyond.
Yeah.
That are only visible beyond the current scope. So,
can you grab these two readable strings into variables and so we can figure out what's going on? Well, just refactor them.
Okay. I didn't think of that. I'm not really into refactoring. Okay.
Yeah, solved. And final. Final S. State. Final state. It's going to have to be final state. It can't be final state. Final state text. Final text. Readable string. Applesauce would work. All right, put a breakpoint on 44 and what's going on.
Stop it if you can. There's like a run to here, right? Run.
Break into covering test at this line.
Thank you.
They're not even close to right.
One of them is solved and one of them is not. Even though it says solved text, it's full of zeros.
It does say solve board and it is full of zeros. That's really weird. Which means our solved board is not solved. Construct fully solved board does not do that. So let's record that insight. So let's rename construct board that can be solved.
Can we revert these changes?
Revert the changes of don't revert the extracting. Just revert or comment out line 44 again and commit those.
We commit just like this.
Yeah, because this is an improvement. It lets us know why solve text doesn't equal final text. And then let's rename, well, construct fully solved board doesn't construct a fully solved board. So let's rename that to construct partially solved board.
We need some level of confidence in here.
I mean, it's definitely not fully solved. We know that. Because it has zeros in it. But I'm okay with your insecurities.
Thanks. This is part of the honest before honest and complete.
And now it makes sense. So now it's generate puzzle from partially solved board. Sure. And then it gives you this puzzle and it gives you this final state.
I want to take a closer look at puzzle because I don't think that it's a puzzle.
Sure. Puzzle seems like a puzzle. It is interesting that, wait, hold on. Are these the same thing? Can you take a look at puzzle and partially solved puzzle maybe? No, it was already there. Just go show me the variables. There. Just the locals. There you go.
Those look like a match to me.
They do. Can you get them bigger so we can check all the way to the end? I don't see any differences, do you?
I don't see any differences.
So why are we passing this in and out? So hold on, do this.
They're both.
We are using puzzle to pass it into 50. Replace 50 with partially solved board maybe. And run. All right, so it doesn't make any sense that we're pulling this out if those are. So this is actually the puzzle.
And so is this.
Yeah. So
so that's why I was nudging towards maybe. I thought this feels like the puzzle, not partially solved, but I don't know yet. So I wanted us to maybe it.
Yeah.
Instead of putting a possibly false belief into the code.
Can we go take a look at this generate puzzle from partially solved? Like, we're not in the place I want to be right now, but I feel like, so we don't, so what does this return? This returns Sudoku board from state. Where's Sudoku board?
And this is, it takes Sudoku board and gives you get board as number, and then it passes it right back into from numbers.
Well, so does it? It does. So it doesn't modify it at all.
Well, Applesauce 5 might, so we can go look. But, I mean, we're seeing the tests say it doesn't modify it at all. There, it sets a 0.
Where?
Right here.
It does modify it. Wait. But it doesn't modify it. What does that mean? Does that mean that that we're only setting things that are already 0? Or are we just getting lucky? No, yeah, we must. We're not getting lucky. Well, we're hitting this line of code, right? Coverage is hitting it. It is setting it.
I think part of what's happening is we merged the -1 and the 0.
Yeah.
They're they both were ways to represent unknown in the old code, and now they're the same. So I think part of why this feels so weird is that it's setting a 0 to 0 because they're both unknown. And then see on 74, it says set value to unknown, and 77 is setting something to 0. I feel like those two statements are manipulating two copies of the data structure, but semantically expressing the same idea, even though like the data representation is so different, but it's the same idea written twice.
But more interesting. Oh, wait. We're morphing Sudoku board. Can we go back to our tests? I think we made a mistake. Or we go back to our main block. I think it is giving us a fully done puzzle. Can you put a breakpoint on 37?
I want to undo what we've got here because I feel like we're a bit of a mess. 37. Right here? Right.
30.
Here.
Yeah, put a breakpoint there. And that's a fully solved puzzle. It is constructing a fully that we are then modifying.
Ew.
Yeah, ooh is right. So let's go and we're going to do two. First of all, can we go to the get and revert what's going on from before we did that maybe? Yay, really granular source control.
Back to here.
What does extract variables do? I want to add the extract variables. Take me to that. So I think my initial thing was correct. So, do we have a way to clone a Sudoku board?
Not at the moment.
So here, what I want to do is say Sudoku board.clone.
If we move this line up, the test will fail, right? That's what we're saying.
No.
Do that.
The test can't fail right now.
We don't have the exception.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is if you move that line up and put the exception on, it won't fail. So if you go to move that line 40 up to line 37.
Do that, it fails. Okay, and now we put this
and
here.
Now it shouldn't fail. That's my hypothesis.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. And the reason for this is it's mutating solved board. It's passing back a final state, which is completely no longer necessary. So let's change the way that this works. So let's go to where it says solve board, where it's passing in generate puzzle from completely solved board. Go into this. And the very first thing I want you to do on line 42 or 22 and a half is say Sudoku board equals Sudoku board.clone.
We do have a way to clone it. The Sudoku board from numbers.
Yeah, that's what clone is going to do. Put that in a method called Sudoku board.clone. Sudoku board.clone. Sure. No, just this is easier to do with just write the method. There you go. Okay. And now, now it's failing. So go back to where we were. Why is it failing?
You're not surprised because we just changed the behavior to stop mutating this thing.
No, but I am surprised because are we using anything with the solve board? We are. So let's go into this line 50. How are we using solve board? What are you scrolling?
I was.
Okay.
I was looking for uses of solve of.
No. Go back. What are you doing? Control click on line 50 to solve puzzle.
Okay.
Okay. And now change Sudoku board to, which is solved board. So can we, first of all, let's rename, we're in a red, I don't want to do a rename. Just physically change the name from Sudoku. Don't rename, just physically change the board name from Sudoku board to Sudoku board 2. And then go see what's breaking. So we're setting values on it. And we're setting values on here. Keep going. And we're setting values in here, and then we're printing. So go back up to the place where we were calling.
I don't know if we're setting values here, that last statement.
Okay, but go back to where we were calling anyways. And where we pass in solved board, pass in puzzle. Again, on 50. And undo Sudoku board 2. Yeah. There we go. Okay, so we're passing puzzle in twice. All kinds of interesting stuff going on right now. Commit that weirdness.
Really?
You want to put
How many bangs I get to put on that? What did we do?
So right now, we're separating out the solve board and the puzzle, which is like super duplicated for reasons I don't yet understand, right? But we do actually have a solve board and we do have a puzzle, and we are mutating ones and not mutating the others. And I now know what to do with them. We're working on it. So yeah, so save the changes here. Why 2 copies of the same thing? Very interesting question. We'll come back to it.
We can merge them now if you want to.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, actually, no, I still want the final state that we're passing in. I want to pass in the solve puzzle again. Now.
Here?
Oh, yeah, I want to pass it into there. Okay. And now we're no longer using final state. So let's get rid of that. So we're going to delete all that. Yep. And we're going to delete. Okay, you can do that as a refactoring. Now we can delete the out of the final state.
Yeah.
So go to generate puzzle from final solve board.
Oh, that does not help.
No, go to there. Because this code is dead, but it doesn't know it's dead yet. No, so you can't change the signature. You have to go there.
I can't remove here?
You cannot remove this. It is being used. You got to go to it. Okay. So here, where it says final state, put final state 2, so we see where it breaks. Just put a physical rename. There you go. Okay, so delete lines 428 and 429. Okay. And delete lines. Now you can remove that. And now we can remove that. Okay, this is much cleaner. So next, let's go and we're going to still go back to generate puzzle from completely solved state because there's still something weird going there. So State is being used? It is, an applesauce 5. Okay, well, we're just going to ignore that for now. But it can't be, no, we can't ignore it. Yep, yes we can. We're ignoring it. No, we can't ignore it. Go into applesauce 5. Actually, can we rename this? What's the method above us?
Generate puzzle from completely solved board.
Yeah, so call it generate puzzle from completely solved board applesauce. Some sub-process to that. Okay, so the thing about this is the state is now redundant from Sudoku board. So we're going to do the shadowing technique again on 43.5. So state var state equals Sudoku board dot get board as numbers. And then state 2. Are we red?
More red than I was expecting.
Significantly more red than I was suspecting.
Because state gets used here.
Where does it get used?
Right there.
Ah.
So, undo.
Because this doesn't return anything.
I want to do a rename. This has been wrong for a while.
No, this is still good. So okay, so what I want to do here is copy basically line 40 or 38. Copy line 38. Yep. And then go to the second applesauce thing, and at the very end of it, return this. And then quick fix that so it does. And then hold on to it on 29. And then return it on line 38. Okay, and then those console writes, which is all, like this, basically we're doing the same thing we did before. So just grab lines 32 through 34, cut them. And then go to our, no, just cut them. And then scroll up to, up. Yeah, so after this. It's going to be starting to look for a ball. It's puzzle. It's going to, no, it's not going to be solve board. It's going to be puzzle. Yeah.
Such a strange line. Doing a string join on a string.
Oh, why is it doing that?
I don't know.
Can we just do
fix it?
Yeah, let's fix it. Just do puzzle.toString.
After we commit.
After we commit, of course. Of course. Of course. We're not savages. Okay, so now if we go to generate puzzle from completely solved board, still in the weird place, but
can we, I don't like this mess being here. Like this function is the cleanest we've got, and these things don't belong here. What can we do about that?
You can actually this entire thing, grab lines 39 through 42.
Okay.
Through 44.
Are you moving into solve puzzle?
No, I'm going to extract a method called log start of solution. That's really what it's doing. Okay, so now let's go back to this generate puzzle from completely solved board. I still want to get rid of, okay, so now to get rid of that whole region from 27 through on.
Yes.
Yeah. And then also you can inline now the result. Okay. And now we can commit that, yeah. So then go to applesauce, and now we're going to do our shadowing because now it works.
What are we shadowing?
So on 45, we're going to shadow state. There you go. Now get it out of the thing above.
Let me see again how does it work out. We're going to remove this unused parameter.
Yeah. And actually, this is such a weird, like, look at the structure of this, right? Like, we do this clone and we set up a whole bunch of variables that we then pass in. Like, that's just garbage. We should just inline applesauce, period. Like, applesauce has no reason to exist. It's part of this paragraph that somehow got separated. Yeah, that's what this really is. Okay, and now on the Sudoku board, we are setting the value, but then we're also doing it on the position, right? So my supposition here is instead of returning Sudoku board from number state, we can return Sudoku board. So let's see if we can do that.
Yeah, I think we don't have to return it all since it's being mutated. I don't know if we like that.
It's not being mutated, it's cloned on line 425.
You're right.
And now let's rename. So first, can we do a manual rename on 22 so we can shadow Sudoku board? So just, no, you can't. Yeah, just, yeah, put it to. No, I just actually want, sure. Good enough. Commit that. But now we're going to do some proper renames. So rename Sudoku board to puzzle. And then rename Sudoku board input to solved board. Yeah. So we clone this thing into the puzzle, and then we remove things from there. And so now my goal is to get rid of state. All right, so let's start by just deleting line 37. It's going to break stuff. I want to see what it breaks. That's all it breaks? Yeah, just delete that.
I bet if we delete that line, it passes.
Okay, well then delete the variable above it, which is now unused.
Waiting for Crunch to catch up. It's in a bit of a loop. There we go.
Is remove position 0 only used on line? Can you inline 34? I think you can. What are you? Oh, that's unused? Yeah, get rid of that.
Yeah, I want there we go. Remove unused variable. At 30 where?
On 34, I
Which
think
line
we
you
can
want me?
inline remove position. You're doing a manual inline? Did the automatic?
Yeah, the reason it existed is that when we did the
Yeah, but could you
inline
not
method,
inline it?
Resharper made it.
Right, but you couldn't automatically inline it?
Can't, but I didn't demonstrate that. I'll show you.
Okay.
So this one, oh, that one we can.
Yeah, okay. Whenever you do a non-automatic refactoring where there is an automatic refactoring, it's like my spidey senses alerted. Like, what's going on? Yeah, remove position, better.
Position.
Yeah. Okay.
The issue there is often when you extract a method and inline the method immediately afterwards, Resharper creates an alias for some local variables. And we were able to address that by inlining variable on one, but we couldn't inline variable on the other because of the same reason that Resharper did that, because Resharper thinks it's a modified variable. Anyway, luckily you're smarter than Resharper, so we're good.
So the rest of this I don't care about. So there's still stuff to clean up here, but I feel like we pass it a random number generator and a solve puzzle, and we get back a Sudoku board. It's clear. Like, this is just good enough. Can we go back up to the main thing? This is still not good enough, and we're in the play. So we generate a fully solved board. Line 37, let's delete the blank line there because it's not even doing anything.
All right. Strategize for a moment. Okay. This blank line?
Yeah, delete that line. And then lookup structures, we shouldn't be creating it and then passing it in. That's crazy. So let's move that. So just cut. Well, no, leave it there, I guess, since it doesn't matter. So leave it on 39 as well. Just leave. But copy the line, go into solve puzzle, and shadow it here. Okay, there we go. And then remove it and take it out there, because this is obviously part of that. Puzzle is the same thing, so we have the puzzle and we have the Sudoku board and we have the final state. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to assign puzzle equal to Sudoku board on 57. Actually, we want it the other way. We want Sudoku board equals puzzle. And then shadow it, where we're shadowing again. So var it and set the 1 to 2.
Should I commit this change? It demonstrates that their sameness is okay?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Redundant.
Yeah. Weird. It's like I'm feeling the lag from ReSharper on this one. Okay, so now let's get rid of the redundant variable. And then can we just inline Sudoku board? Since, why does that even exist? Yeah. There we go. Okay, and now that final state, so now we're going to do sort of the reverse of this. Now we're going to pass in the solved puzzle from our play. So before final state, you're going to just pass in solved board. Because again, the solver needs a solved board, which is problematic in and of itself.
Okay, why did that not work? That should totally have worked.
Give me 1 second. I think my computer might be having heat problems.
We should wrap up soon too.
That is awesome. Fortunately, I prepared for this by keeping a aluminum case in the freezer. So that should cool everything down. You need a var. There we go. All right. And solve puzzle is now the thing we need to work on. But that is definitely where we should stop for today. Start here. I like it. All right, yeah, let's retro. So like my first impression is still that it's just so weird that, you know, so I started with that YouTube video saying like, hey, we now have like product direction. We have business. We want to get to the solve part. And we spent all of our time not getting to the solve part. Right? Or preparing so that we can get to the solve part, which I don't think we did the wrong thing. Like the solve part is now like the interface is really clean, right? Before there was these things and we didn't even know what they meant. And now we have very clear demarcations of what's coming in, what goes out. And we understand like our interface is clean, which it wasn't before. And so I feel like we spent the time properly. It's just weird to me that I can't even predict what an hour and a half of work is going to look like.
So I think this is really common, and it's the design that we started with, which is we have a purpose. What's in the way of that purpose? Let's go fix what's in the way.
Yeah.
And that's how it's supposed to work, and it's exactly what happened. We picked a purpose and immediately found something impeding that purpose and started to address it.
Preventing us from getting in the door.
And the win this time is that because we had a purpose, we knew which impediment. Well, I mean, we weren't fully conscious of it, but we went after the impediment that was relevant to that.
I think like maybe a better way of saying that is the impediments became obvious.
Yeah.
right? Like they were hidden impediments before, right? And then they became even to the point where it's like, oh, we thought we knew what that method did, and then the way the code was structured made us think we didn't know what it did, even though we actually did know what it did. So I like that the code is becoming more obvious. I like that we can see how things work. In terms of tooling, it was interesting that we seem to be outrunning ReSharper. I don't remember that being the case in the past. Do you?
It happens sometimes. ReSharper sometimes gets really slow, which didn't happen today, but
Yeah.
and I don't know why.
And maybe that's why I've been trusting nCrunch more, because I feel like when it shows me green test, it means it has built and executed that code. Which is interesting, which means I believe, it's going to say like, I believe that more than the compiler, but mainly that's because to build and execute the code, it needed to compile.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think it's necessarily not trusting the compiler, right? It's definitely not trusting the editor, the view.
So we're leaning pretty heavily on tests, and we talk a lot about how can you refactor when we don't have tests. And while we are choosing safe refactoring when it's available, we're not really what's the word? We're not trying to hold ourselves to only safe refactoring.
No, because our tests are providing so much protection.
Yeah. And sometimes in the real world, there's a way to get to that, and plenty of times there's not.
Yeah, and
That's
if we
doing.
weren't in that, then our behavior would be different.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then what we're doing would be reckless.
Right.
This goes to that concept that there's like a level of risk that the body wants. And since we have this safety, we can now move that risk bar to a place that would not be acceptable if we didn't have that safety.
Yeah. You know what else occurred to me as we were going through this is I think if I was a reviewer of this day's changes, my head would explode. There are so many changes. I mean, today only was 51 commits. And but if we did like a full 8-hour day of this, and then said, hey, by the way, here's our code review from one day, the reviewers would look at this. I have no idea what to do with this. Nobody's brain can stay focused long enough to read from here. Man, that's a lot of commits. And I've seen this before when we really get into, like at work, when we really get into a groove with safe, quick refactoring, that the output of that is almost impossible to review.
You have to break it down and go step by step.
You do, but there's so many steps, even that is overwhelming. And I think maybe we need like a new protocol. Like you can do an hour of this, but if you're going to do more, you should get the reviewers to pair or mob with you and not have them try to do this after the fact, because it is just intolerable at scale.
I mean, so that's one thing. The other thing is, like, we've been branching this into hour and a half and stuff just because of the Twitch. But I think that if we were in a company, these things should be being pushed into master.
After each like hour or so?
Or easily, right? Like, because the chances that this is going to have a merge conflict is huge, right? And so if we can't get this into master, right, then like the way you're getting it into master is by doing a pull request, which is a totally valid way of doing it, right? It's not the only way of doing it, but it's a valid way of doing it. If you can't get it into master by whatever mechanism you have to do that, then we should not be continuing down the road, right? Because it's only heaping more stuff on an already big problem. I will say the fact that these are all R's is, like, if you were to go look at that thing again, we only have a couple R bang bangs. I think we might only have one. No, we have 2.
I mean, depending on how far back you look.
3. Yeah.
If we just look at today.
So it's
1, 2. Yeah, that's today.
So like those are much more reviewable.
Yeah.
And if you trust the lowercase r's and the R protected by test, right? That is reviewable. Someone could review that and say, yeah. Okay. Getting from here to here, I can accept that. Now, and that's actually like R bang bang, the update.net target version. That almost feels like it's appropriate to have a conversation. Right? Like, hey, we updated your thing. We can remove it now too, which is also interesting.
That's true.
I think Git has the ability to cherry pick that remove. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we can't do that, but
yeah,
do
not need to.
Conversation.
But if we were in production environment, a conversation about that would be really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed there were more times today when the thing that you said didn't have enough detail and I couldn't fill in the detail.
Am I being more vague today or
am I clueless? I don't know. So you
or
and
is it just like a different domain? Like
when we
go.
When we pair, it's common for you to say something at a certain level of abstraction and for me to be able to fill in.
Yeah.
And that's part of what works well when we're pairing.
Great.
But today I felt like there was more of a gap between that, and like maybe I just didn't sleep well, or maybe you were trying to run it too abstract a level. Like I don't know whether
maybe
something I noticed.
I noticed today that this refactoring of like shadow a variable, it takes like 3 steps. But I'm thinking of it as 1 step. And so what might have been happening is I might have been going too far ahead. Like I talk about this a lot of strong style is a bit like feeding a baby, where it's like you don't bring the spoon to the mouth until it opens, right? Like, but as soon as it opens, then you want that spoon right there. Like, here's the next thing you need. But I think that I might have been overfeeding, right? Where it's like you're still working on that shadow, and I'm like, wait a second, as soon as we shadow this other thing is showing up. We need to grab that. So I think I might have just been a bad navigator today.
I mean, it's always a team thing. So it's just about where we connect.
Yeah.
There's something else that happened. I think that, because I'm driving and you're navigating, it's normal for the ideas to flow from you to me. We're not strict strong pairing because we're not passing keyboard very much.
Yeah.
Or ever. But I think that today, like it was more your ideas flowing through me and less my ideas. My memory is a little fuzzy, but I think that the balance shifted a bit. Yeah.
Maybe. I just wanted to call out Lutheran for telling us that. I know I'm mispronouncing that, but for letting us know about the mic. I really appreciate that. I definitely like, there's 2 things that occur that are always interesting to me. One is when I'm pairing with you, I have different thoughts than when I pair with other people. Right. And I know that that's because I'm interacting with you. And I know for the same thing, like, like if I'm interacting with Claire, I have different thoughts. If I'm interacting with Simon, I have different thoughts. If I'm interacting with Lars, I have different thoughts. It's like they pull different things. They trigger different things. One thing that is nice is like, even when I'm say like, if I'm interacting with Lars, I have like a little Claire and a little J on my shoulder. And like, so it's like a shadow of you is still there. Which is really helpful. Part of, I mentioned this before, like, but that because that shadow thing is a couple steps, you are running slower, right? And that means I have an advantage that I already have as a navigator is I get to think while you're typing, right? So like if you were to clone me, and it was me pairing with me, whoever was at the keyboard would have less thoughts than the person who is navigating. Right? The clone at the keyboard would have less thoughts than the person navigating, just because the person at the keyboard is under much higher cognitive load than the navigator. And I think maybe one of the reasons for that today is your cognitive load went up because there was like 3 or 4 steps in a thing that I'm doing. And not even necessarily like non-thinking steps, right? Like each time we were shadowing, there was different little things that were being exposed and popping up. When you were trying to figure out how to get NuGet working properly, I was still thinking about the implications